Maybe I should. I don't know. But anyway, thank you all for coming tonight. Joining us tonight is Chuck Lee from DEP Dam Safety.
Speak up.
Speak up. How about now? Is that better? Can you hear me now? Okay. Thank you all for coming tonight, joining us. And before that, my name is David. I work in the engineering department for the town. Joining us tonight is Chuck Lee, DEP Dam Safety, and Brian Golomieski from DEP as well. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to them. But I will ask if you have public comments to make that you come to either the microphone at the table or the podium. Okay.
Microphone at the table has to be turned on.
This one?
You have to push the button to turn
Yeah,
it
no
on.
problem. Let me get situated for it.
Let me start off the meeting, then, we can get into questions there. Let me know if you can't hear me. I'm Chuck Lee.
Yeah, they are.
Can they hear me online?
They should be able to.
Okay. Okay, so I'm Chuck Lee. I'm with the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. I'm the Assistant Director of the Dam Safety Programs for Connecticut DEEP. And as everybody's aware, that Killingly Pond is being drawn down because of concerns about the dam. And a lot of this started about a week ago. Now, one of the community people, Jeff Page, is he here tonight? Okay, Jeff Page is not here, but he asked me to come and talk to the residents of Killingly Pond. So I said yes, and we decided the best forum or best place to have that meeting would be in the Killingly Town Hall. So that's why we're here tonight, mostly to give you information and to hear what some of your concerns are. With me today is Brian Golomieski. He's also with the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. We're both in the Water Bureau. Brian is in a different division within the Water Bureau. I deal with the dams. Brian deals with a lot of the environmental concerns around water resources. So that's why we're here tonight. So I'm just going to give you a quick summary, and then we'll go into Q&A, and how's that work? So first off, I want to say is that we at DEP, we're the regulating entity for dams in the state of Connecticut. Unless that dam is regulated by the federal government. And Killingly Pond Dam is not regulated by the federal government. It's regulated by the state of Connecticut. It's what we call a Class B or significant hazard dam, meaning that if it were to fail, the information tells us that it would be a possible loss of life. Not probable, but possible loss of life. So that dam, because it's a Class B dam, we require it to have what's called an emergency action plan. An emergency action plan is a document that tells the dam owner what to do if the dam is about to fail and what are the response mechanisms. Who does he call? What is a call down tree to emergency personnel, and how does it handle? How does the dam owner monitor the dam? So with Killingly Pond Dam, I think all of you know it's owned by what we call WISH, right? Investors, shareholders. It's an investment company that, my understanding, it doesn't hold a lot of assets anymore. This is one of the few assets that they have left. They also own other dams in the same downstream from Killingly Pond Dam. Killingly Pond Dam is the uppermost dam that they own in the watershed. So from our perspective as regulators, they're pretty responsive. We have a lot of dam owners that are not responsive to us. We have to chase them down in court, find out who they are, work with them to try to make their dam safe. In this case, we have a dam owner that is very responsive to us. They've hired engineers to keep an eye on the dam. They've been doing that over the years. That actually, in most cases, we don't have somebody looking at the dam, a privately owned dam, as closely as this organization has been doing. So we appreciate that effort, and I think you've probably been, if you're a dam owner, or if you live on Dam Road, maybe you've been in touch with this organization, maybe you haven't, I'm not sure. So anyway, we've worked pretty closely with them, and they had inspected the dam. According to this dam, it needs to be inspected I believe, every 5 years. And the last inspection told us there was some seepage and some leakage, and the recommendation was to monitor that, which they have been doing. They have a local representative that monitors that dam on a regular basis. And in September or so, we started getting calls that the water level was low. We knew that it was a dry period. We didn't know if it was because of dry or because of seepage, but their representative went out and looked at the dam, found that it was actually seeping at the bottom of the dam more so than it had been in the past, quite a bit. And they set up a system to monitor the flow and keep us informed of what was going on. Because of that monitoring protocol, the local representative noticed that last week, or the week before last, that there was actually sediment moving through the dam. And when that happens, that becomes a concern. Seepage is one thing, depending on the amount, but when sediment is moving through the dam, that's telling us there's probably internal erosion going on, and the potential for that dam to start structurally being compromised is a concern. Their engineer, which is a licensed engineer in the state of Connecticut, came to us and said, I believe that that dam should be lowered to take, the water body should be lowered to take pressure off the dam. The engineers in my office said, we agree with that recommendation. Please proceed with lowering the dam, is what they just started to do. Now, in Connecticut, you can't just lower a water body without some kind of regulatory control. And because we felt it was an emergency, we issued an emergency authorization for WISH to draw the impoundment down to take pressure off the dam. And then we just issued that order today because it took us a while to get the paperwork. So we issued an order to take pressure off the dam, and we agree with the engineer that WISH has, and our engineers agree that this is a situation where we want to make sure that the pressure's off the dam and that we can minimize any internal erosion as best we can. There's one more complicating factor with this dam. Every dam has its unique situations, and this dam does as well, is that we know that there's people using the top of the dam or the crest of the dam for access to their homes or their seasonal properties. And that's an additional concern. Normally, most of the time, we're looking at a dam that if it were to fail, it's going to flood a road, it's going to flood a house, it's going to take out some infrastructure downstream. Sometimes we're dealing with a dam that is, the crest of the dam serves also as a road, and that's a situation in here. And the other complicating factor is that road is the only way in and the only way out. So not only are we concerned about the potential for that dam to fail downstream, we're also concerned to make sure that the property owners have access out and into their properties, as well as emergency vehicles and utility vehicles and those vehicles. So there's another little complicating factor with this dam, which you as local people probably know better than I do. So that's what I can tell you in a quick summary about what we've been doing with the dam. In addition to the emergency authorization, we issued what's called a notice of violation. That's called an NOV in our terminology. That NOV requires WISH to look at the low-level outlet that they're using and make sure that that has the capacity to handle a storm if that comes up. What we call, for this dam, it's the 100-year storm or 1% storm, and we've seen those more frequently than every 100 years. And the low-level outlet, we want to make sure it can handle that level of storm, meaning that if water is coming in, that there's enough capacity, the size of that outlet can handle that storm without water backing up to the dam again. So we asked them to do that analysis. In addition, we're asking them to provide a plan to repair the dam. And that order, the notice of violation, also just went out today. Wouldn't expect WISH to have a response back to us, but we're looking forward to having those conversations with the organization that owns the dam. That's what I can tell you about the dam. I can also tell you, as you probably know, about the water quality, because before I was working on dams for 25 plus years, I was working on lake water quality. So I understand that Killingly Pond Dam is a special lake, and it was a special lake for the state of Connecticut. When we were collecting data on lakes across the state of Connecticut, made sure we collect data on Old Killingly Pond Dam, because we know it's a very clear lake, and it's also what we thought was a naturally acidic lake, and so we were interested in the water quality from an ecological perspective, in that it had unique characteristics, different than most lakes in the state of Connecticut. So, you know, I went back today and I looked actually at the data from 1989 when I was working on that project, just to familiarize myself with what I knew. And I'd look at lakes. This is going back to my old job now. I mean, phosphorus, which causes weed and algae growth, that's very low in this pond. It's a lake that has low alkalinity because it's a rather acidic lake. Back in 1989, we were worried about acidic lakes. What we're actually trying to look at is finding out if some of these lakes that were acidic are naturally acidic. Killingly Pond we consider to be a naturally acidic lake. So it has unique characteristics. In addition to that, because we know there's a lot of interest in the dams, there's a person in our office who's an ecologist, and he wrote a whole report to us on the ecological characteristics of the water bodies within this system, both Killingly Pond, Eddy Prairie Reservoir, Middle Reservoir, Evelina Chase, and those. He wrote a whole article about the aquatic habitat and those. So we're familiar with that, as you are too, because you're local people and you're using the resource. So I just wanted to let you know we're not unfamiliar about the value of Killingly Pond. And we're here to talk, and we're here to answer questions, explain our process, and see what we can do to, give you the best information possible. So I think, I've said enough. I don't know, do you want to add in, or do you have anything?
No, just that, we did issue an emergency authorization for the drawdown and then a notice of violation.
Could you please state your name too?
Yeah,
sir?
Brian Golombieski, I'm with Connecticut Deep Land and Water Resources Division. I am a supervisor in their enforcement section. Just that, reiterate that there is an authorization for the drawdown and that there is follow-up enforcement being done on the dam to get it into a safe condition and to do analysis of what's going on.
Well, thank you for coming on out tonight to Killingly. You were mentioned Jeff Page had something to do with that, and he showed up a few minutes ago. Jeff's right out here, so we appreciate that. Anyway, my name is Alfred Dufresne, and I'm a resident of Killingly, Connecticut, and I'm a retired Class 1 water systems distribution operator. I am here to speak for the preservation of Old Killingly Pond. Old Killingly Pond is located in both Connecticut and Rhode Island in the town of Killingly. This is a naturally acidic, spring-fed lake, has a surface area of approximately 138 acres and contains 521 million gallons of fresh water, at least it did, which is why the water is so remarkably clear, probably as clear as any lake in the region. The pond lies in the headwaters of the Whetstone Brook, which flows through the town of Killingly into an aquifer protections recharge area, supplying the water to local wells and the surrounding watershed. Because of this connection, the health of Old Killingly Pond directly affects the quality water and supply for the greater Killingly area. Old Killingly Pond is also part of the last Green Valley Natural Heritage Corridor, a region recognized for its natural beauty, cultural heritage, and environmental significance within southern New England. Historically, this pond was known as Shippey Pond. Well, it was Lester Shippey, a former Connecticut banking commissioner and respected resident of Killingly. Lester Shippey entrusted the land for Killingly Pond State Park and the state of Connecticut with the understanding that he would be preserved as a beautiful state park for all to enjoy forever. The area surrounding the pond supports a diverse range of wildlife, including American bald eagle, fish populations, and a variety of birds and aquatic species that depend on the waters for survival. Its ecosystem represents an important part of our regional natural heritage. With the cooperation of rights investors, along with local town and state officials, we can take the necessary steps to restore and repair the dam and return the pond to its natural condition. Old Killingly Pond will not be lost and will be the responsibility of those who value this place. It will be restored, and it will remain a living part of our community, our landscape, and our shared history for generations to come. Okay.
So we're open to any other questions. If somebody wants to make a statement or give us some information, maybe you know something we don't know. We're not, we don't live on the lake, so that's what we're here for, to listen to you.
Hi. Yeah, Ian McDonald. I live, I guess I'm one of those places, I guess I hadn't thought about it that much, but that's kind of downstream there with the dug well. And so, that was an interesting comment in terms of regarding that, and near one of the lower, the Whetstone, the pond above Whetstone Mills there. Yeah, I mean, I'll say just by way of my bias here, my mother was able to, she happened here in the post office, I don't know, 20-something years ago or so, about a little piece that came up for sale and was a good deal, and she managed to snatch it up. And so, we've been down there, I guess, decades now, just to camp. And I will say, this summer the loons were out. I don't know if it was daily, but it felt like that. So I apologize for that. Eagles, cormorants, blue heron are not that unusual to see there. And also, these dams are, I know this is maybe not totally Deep's bailiwick, but because these dams were built so long ago, you know, the communities around them are really part of that too. I mean, there's people too, and I know we're not, you know, wildlife exactly, but these ponds are in many ways the center of like life in that part of town, and you know, a radical change would be pretty disturbing. And before, you know, we happen to have a place there, I'll also say that this was where we went for swimming. This was our main swimming spot, and I think a lot of people in town, that's probably the case. And I was trying to think about what was a comparable place nearby, and I think most of the surrounding towns do not have a place like this that is for, you know, boating, nice swims. You can still fish. I mean, maybe there's somewhere. I mean, I don't know about. I don't get up to Aquatic much, but other than that, and I'm not sure what the public access situation is there, but other than that, this is one of the premier places in this part of Connecticut, and both for people and for birds. And I'll just say two other quick things. I think it's kind of a little shocking, the drawdown. I understand that, you know, probably looked at it and felt that this was under duress. I'm not taking issue with that at the moment. But I think I probably am with a lot of folks that don't take particularly issue with the safe condition, but I think what we're hoping for is that this is repaired and this isn't simply a breach. I think that's the thing that I'm worried about, at least. And I also, you know, I haven't been over. Other people are much closer. I haven't been over there inspecting it. I know. Do we know when Wish acquired this particular? I mean, I think Wish changed hands. No, when Wish. That was 1830. So I don't.
Acme Cotton bought it or built it in 1830, and then it was.
So I don't know when the entity that is Wish, you know, came to exist and take responsibility for this. I maybe had some concerns at one point about some maintenance. I don't know that that's recent. Again, I haven't been there, so I don't know. I would just say that if things, you know, I know there's people even in this town who, I know Deep does a little bit less with the dam maintenance, and you know, I know you guys have budgetary struggles, so this isn't blaming you, but I know some folks have felt like some of that maintenance is pretty burdensome. But I know some people who are private residents who put a lot of time and a lot of energy to try to stay in compliance with you guys. So I think while, you know, maybe Wish isn't as big as it used to be, they certainly probably have a lot more resources than other folks. And if there hasn't been compliance, I hope there isn't any kind of, you know, I think that compliance, this should have been maintained in compliance. And if that's not the case, I don't think that if there was negligence that should be rewarded by. So I'm not accusing anybody of anything, just saying that, you know, we want to see this thing repaired properly and get back to the state. And I think that's my primary concern. I don't know if others are in the same boat, but I suspect so. Thank you.
So I want to see if I can maybe just respond a little bit to some of what you said. There's a couple of things. One of the things I want to make clear is the state of Connecticut is not advocating for that dam to be removed and drawn down. We have a lot of projects where we're trying to remove dams before fish passage and aquatic ecosystem connectivity. This is not one of those projects. This is really a regulatory case with a dam that we have concerns with. The other thing I would say is we don't consider Wish to be a negligent partner and wasn't maintaining the dam. It's just a very old dam, and these things are happening to the dam that unfortunately when they get old they start to get compromised. As somebody said, it's about a 200-year-old dam. So just to be clear, the agency is not advocating for the dam to be taken down or the pond to be drained. But we are concerned about the dam safety issues, and that's why we're here today, to express those concerns and to communicate that to you. So The other thing is, I believe Wish has owned this property probably about 20 years. It might have been that they acquired another property that had it in an asset, and this is what kind of a legacy asset that they now have. So the other thing I'd want to say about Wish is that, we did issue what's called a notice of violation, but that notice of violation isn't for really a violation. It's a response to the drawdown. They drew the lake down, and so in the state of Connecticut, that's a regulated activity, either under dam safety or under what we call the water diversion program. So in order to draw it down, we needed to issue an authorization for them to do that. We also issued the notice of violation so they could respond. That's the regulatory process. I don't want to imply that they were negligent or in violation. It's just our administrative tool to have them look at the dam and make those changes or get us the information we need to have so that they can make their decisions. One thing I also want to mention, it is a privately owned asset, and Wish is the owner. They're going to make the decisions that's in their best interest, I presume. So we could talk about not draining the lake, but Wish has a right as the property owner to maintain that dam as they see fit, as long as they do it within the regulations of the state of Connecticut. Thank you.
Mike Christina, I'm from Killingly all my life. So you're saying the drawdown is temporary?
As far as we're concerned, our notice of, our emergency authorization said it's drawn down until the commission determines that a safety condition no longer exists.
Years.
I can't predict the future or Wish's response.
So they have the right to drain the wetlands.
I would say, no, they don't have the right to drain the wetlands. We need to see what their response is. We just told them that we need to see the H&H analysis in 30 days, and we need to see a plan to repair in 60 days.
Okay. I mean, if I was developing a property and building houses, I wouldn't be able to do what they just did, drain wetlands. So to me, that's a clear violation of the wetlands regulations.
So that's why we issued the notice of violation, to get them to respond to the situation. If Wish were to say that they did not choose not to keep that pond down, then it'd probably kick it into what is the state of Connecticut diversion regulations. And so either way, it's a regulated activity. And right now we're considering an emergency response, but it's a regulated activity.
So if they chose to lower the level, who's responsible then? Who's going to bring the level back?
DEEP would have to issue an authorization for whatever the final plan is out there. So whether it's under dam safety, under Chuck's people, or under water diversion, under my division, there would have to be some type of permit that authorizes whatever the final plan is out there. And then the impact on the pond, on the wetlands would all be evaluated under that.
Down at the bottom of Quinn's Hill, where it turns to dirt, there's a very long dam there, and that water is considerably down and has been for years. The dam in Belleville, the water there was lowered considerably and never came back up. So who's to say, who's to say that this water is going to come back up? I don't see how they can get away with draining wetlands.
Whatever they
They-
do, they will need a DEEP license.
To me, the negative act of not doing anything and letting it drain out is the same as draining it out.
Yes, there would be, so there's gonna be, so what, it depends on what the studies show and what the dam owner plans to do. And there are options for making a dam safe, and one is complete breach, and then one is restore it to back in kind in place, the same as what it was. So we don't have enough information, I guess, yet to know what they're going to plan, what their plan is.
So under state statute, though, there's, as I said, it's either dam safety or under the diversion regulations. In the diversion regulations, there's an exemption for certain drawdowns, one of which is an emergency response to a dam safety need, and that's what they're doing, under that exemption from the diversion regulations. That means it has to be covered under the dam safety regulations, and that's why we issued the emergency authorization, and that's why we issued the notice of violation.
Okay, but you can't promise to people here today that that dam's gonna get fixed and the water level will come back up.
No, I cannot.
Okay. When I was 6, my grandpa used to come and get me, and we'd get minnows out of the aquarium in the basement, and we'd go down there and fish. And there's no reason for the town to lose an asset like that because somebody doesn't want to pay to fix the dam. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kelly Fisher. Oh, I don't like hearing myself. I'm so sorry. Chuck and Brian, thank you so much for coming. I'm sure you've seen my name pop up in a few emails, and I do apologize about littering your inboxes. First, I wanted to clarify something, and then I wanted to ask a question. Chuck had mentioned that Geodesign, the engineering company, came out after the reports of the water being low, and they did, and the site visit was on September 18th, and they deemed everything to be safe and that there was no sediment found in that report initially, which I have right here. I've combed over every single word. So there was no sediment found on that day, and then that was submitted October 6th. The seepage appeared last, and there was no warrant for emergency measures to drain the pond. And then suddenly, October 24th, it is discussed that it's going to be drained. So I just wanted to clarify that there was some in between. It wasn't just that Deep wanted an inspection done and that it was deemed unsafe. There was some in between and it wasn't clear. So I just wanted to clear that up. Thank you. And then the second thing I wanted to do was ask you, I looked over every word of the emergency action plan. My first question is, they are supposed to submit that every 2 years, correct?
That's correct.
Correct, yeah, because it's a Class B dam? Yes.
Either way, an emergency action plan is updated every 2 years.
It is, all right. So on the one I have currently right in front of me, it says September 10th, 2025. This one is saying that it was revised based on, which one? November 20th, 2017, so that's quite a gap. But I did see an inspection done in 2023 where it references the EAP being up to date in 2023. So was there one done in 2023? I haven't seen that one.
I'm not sure.
You're not sure, okay. All right, I'm gonna try, no, that's okay, that's okay. He's on our side, so we wanna treat him respectfully. Okay, and then, so my final question, I'm so sorry, is, based on the emergency action plan, and then I saw the email exchanges between, Ms. Mirza, am I saying that correctly? Ms. Mirza, she's
Oh, okay.
with the, yeah, and Geodesign, where they were talking about the drawdown, and everyone was on site, and they referenced you being there. But then it stated that we were supposed to be notified, and I read through the emergency action plan. We were not notified. Would a Facebook post be notification to the residents who live on Dam Road?
No.
No, yeah, so I thought so, because we had no idea that this was coming. No one gave us any warning. All we saw was on September 16th, the day after, I have a picture of it. So Ms. Mirza had sent an email somewhere at the beginning of September to Wish. And then I have a picture of let me not say the name, Wish's representative on the dam with excavators. Nope. At the dam with excavators, which like alarmed us, like we've not seen this man here, like we don't even know who this is. So we had suspicion something was going on, and then we saw a few more people like inspecting everything. So I just don't understand how we went from safe to unsafe to safe to unsafe, and this dramatic whiplash of it all. And again, who is responsible for notifying us?
So I can say that I don't know if you covered this in the information, but I think it was the weekend of October 27th, 26th, somewhere in there, We were notified that there was sediment moving through the dam, and that's what changed the situation.
Yeah, the 24th.
24th,
Thank
okay.
you.
So there's seepage coming through. Now that seepage is carrying sediment. That's what
Yes.
changed the situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Got it.
That gave us all a different perspective on what was going on with the dam. As far as notification goes, I don't have your emergency action plan right in front of me, but it's supposed to be the dam owner notifies various entities, including emergency personnel in the town of Killingly, and they're supposed to respond accordingly. This was, I think, the first phase of an EAP, so I
Yeah.
can't say off the top of my head what that notification process is. Maybe some of the people working in my office are maybe connecting with me and can give me that information.
I
don't
have
think
it. I have it in front of me.
Well, I have it right here too.
It gives like a clear outline. It was the early internet, because we didn't have to get evacuated, so that's where the confusion is how this all just came about and what the actual notification process is I guess my question for you. If you aren't the one that's accountable for that, and that would be the town, then I think that's
So
something I
this
have
is
to
what
discuss with
I've got an
them.
answer. The EAP is notification, early warning is notified to the town. Town's responsible for notifying the residents.
Okay, thank you. That's exactly
Don't
what.
thank me, thank the people in my office that are online tonight.
Thank you. We really do appreciate all of your work, and I think everyone in this room really wants the same thing: a safe dam, a safe road, clean water. The amount of wildlife that lives just on my property alone, I live there year-round. I don't have another home to go to. If I get evacuated, this is my children's future that we have invested a lot of time and money and everything when we purchased a waterfront property. So I'm just hoping that everyone can come together and keep this steam going and do the right thing, because the right thing is to fix this, which it's for many, many years been asked of with Band-Aids. So,
Thank you.
thank you, seriously, thank you.
Hi, I'm Janice Guinan, and I live at 198 Pond Road. Two quick questions for you. I was looking at the website for the Dam Safety Regulation Program under DEEP, and it says a dam owner is responsible for many things, including maintaining their dam in safe condition and making repairs to their dam with appropriate permits. So is it possible that if in 60 days Wish comes back and says they want to completely breach the dam, that they won't be responsible for maintaining their dam in safe condition or making repairs with appropriate permits?
So if they came back and said they wanted to breach the dam, remember, they're the dam owner, and it's their asset they own.
But they have responsibilities
right.
as determined by DEEP.
Right, and one of the ways to make a dam safe is to breach a dam and remove that dam. So that's a choice Wish will have to make, but I think there's complicating factors because I believe a number of people here have easements or right-of-ways over the top of the dam.
Okay, so you consider breaching the dam making a safe.
It's considered one way of making the dam safe, also repairing the dam.
Okay, that's not good. And my second question was, they've got 60 days to respond. How does the public, how can we be kept informed of what their response is and what's happening after that? What is the mechanism for keeping all of us in the loop?
Most of our information is available to the public. We respond to emails every day and give people information that they ask for. We actually have a person assigned every day to manage the inbox and put information out to the public. So anybody asking for information, unless it's considered confidential, we send it right out.
Okay, so there's no plan for you to take the initiative?
But I've been in communication with the town to let the engineering department in the town know exactly what's going on.
Which
And we've
is
been
wonderful.
Yep.
I know I think we're preaching to the choir. I think that you would like this to be resolved so that the dam is restored. I trust that. But it would be nice if someone could, rather than 60 of us, emailing DEEP every day to see if there are any updates, it would be nice if someone could take the initiative, you or the town, to let us know when things are moving.
If you wanted to, assign someone to, be the clearinghouse for you, we don't want to send out 60 emails either.
Right, we don't wanna-
If you let us know who wants information, we can pass that information along that's available.
All right, so if
Yeah.
we gave you a list of email, people who want to be notified, or you want one person as a clearinghouse?
I think one person would be good. I don't want to speak for some of the people that handle that in my office, but it's available, we can work that out, so you get information.
All right, that we don't have to ask every day. All right.
Okay,
Appreciate your efforts, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you guys for coming out. My name's Justin Fisher, resident on the pond. My question is at what point, first off, do we have any town representatives in here? Perfect, great.
No, I'm thanking you.
Oh, any town reps?
3 of us.
Oh, beautiful. All right, can we talk about the bylaws, right? So, the bylaws, there is a huge conflict of interest that we are seeing across the pond and what WISH has for a representative. The fact that we pay somebody in the town to uphold our values and our core and our belief and keep everything going as town people, and then he is getting paid on the side to maintain the dam, when I've lived there for 6 years and I haven't even seen him mow the fucking lawn. I'm sorry that I'm upset. I haven't seen him do anything other than bring his excavator out there, harass our families on the pond. I just watched him just do his daily monitoring of the water, took a 3-foot level out there, right to the control house, and was gone within 5 seconds. That's it. Just wrote on a piece of paper and watched. That's what is watching everybody below us and all of our aquifers below us and everybody in town. 5 seconds, that's all they care about. So my problem is that we are being represented by somebody who is a real estate agent, owns an excavation company, sits on the open space and land acquisition form as the pond is actively draining. I wonder what that's gonna do. And then also in the town, and it's kind of in my eyes, and I believe a lot of you would agree with me, a huge conflict of interest. I don't know why we are allowing it as town people. I think that needs to be a first action to get somebody to actually represent us as a whole, right? It's not just me, it's not just the people who live on the pond. From the beginning of when Lester Shippey's vision was to donate the 45 acres to the pond, that wasn't for just him and his family. That was for the public. That was for the residents of Connecticut. People from Rhode Island come over and they hang out. Everybody comes over and loves this pond. Everybody will agree nobody's ever talked ill about the pond. I believe, and this is my belief, that the fighting and the issuing, and I also know that I just went off, I'm thoroughly emotional about this, sentimental about it. I think that we need to come up with a solution on how to make it, how to keep it, right? Because we're never going to get it back. It's just not going to happen. Once it drains, that's what they want. This is a liability to WISH. A shell company after a shell company after a shell company after a shell company. The business already made its money back in the day, cleaning its cotton in the old mills. Then the mill burned down miraculously. And now all of a sudden an excavator is on there, and 2 days later, a guy who owns an excavation company, there's sediment and silt on the ground behind the dam. So it's just really fishy. And then when you start diving through all the inspections, the EPAs, all of that, how come nobody was holding anybody accountable? 2017 to 2023, and we don't know? Where I come from in my job, I work in the electrical industry. If OSHA comes out on the job site, I need to present them the job safety tailboard. I need to present them. That's a law-abiding thing. So I'd imagine, Chuck, that when you came out to the dam that morning of breaching, you sat there and read the EPA and was aware of all that. Because if the state comes out, it's under my knowledge that you're supposed to be presented a proper EPA. So if it wasn't in place for 8 years or revised by then, who's going to hold them accountable? And it's something as basic as that, where we talk about such an emergency and, a mandatory evacuation. I would have rather you have come banged on my door Sunday morning and told me, because at least you would have told me. I don't have a Facebook. I don't deal with that. So how am I supposed to know? How am I supposed to know what's going on without poking my head around the corner? It's kind of sad.
Right, and one of the things I wanted to say, when you say, you mean EAP, not?
Yes, yeah, I'm sorry, yes,
okay,
EAP.
EAP. The EAP, the one that requires notification is based on a different type of event than what we're talking about.
Yep.
Here, we have what we call, it's seeping. It's a concern. We need to lower it to take pressure off the dam. It's not as if we think the dam is immediately going to fail. The emergency action plan was actually designed to notify residents in a different type of event.
When
That
was
event-
when was it designed though?
Well, that event is a 500-year event, which could potentially overtop the dam, breach the dam, and then strand people on the other side of the dam. That's what that is supposed to be notifying for.
Yeah.
It's not the kind of situation that we have going on at the dam right now, so.
Okay, but who's going to hold them accountable for not having that done for 8 years? And then all of a sudden-
They've had it done. We have an EAP from them, so
dated from when though? Is
I think it was just,
September 10th.
yeah. Yeah. Well, that's.
A few days before everything was
I
starting
don't,
to
I don't,
go
I don't
on.
find that to be fishy, you know, when it comes to EAPs, they're supposed to have it every 2 years, we do the best we can to chase people down, but we're chasing
okay,
about
so we know that it
500
was a-
dam owners, some of which, are totally unresponsive, and in this case, we have an old EAP is better than no EAP, and we've told them, you know, you need to keep this up to date, so I don't.
So if I have an
wouldn't
old
consider this to be-
driver's license and the town of Killingly troopers pull me over and I said, well, an old one's just as good as a new one, do you think that's going to fly?
I'm just saying is that from.
But is that
our
going to
compliance
fly,
history-
Chuck?
Our compliance history is that they have been very responsive.
That's amazing. I'm so glad, but they're still not, we're still not holding anything accountable for it, right? We're still not holding the accountability to it. They did something wrong. Why aren't we holding them accountable for it?
And you're saying that, and what your concern is that they had an outdated
Well,
emergency action plan?
it's just a pile of things. And just to start, so an emergency action plan is just to start that pile of things.
Okay.
Okay. What, I mean, how are we gonna hold these people accountable to do it? Because ultimately, they want it breached. No water, no liability.
So, I mean, that's a good question. One way, though, they can come back to us and say, you know, we don't want to be in the business of owning this dam anymore. We want to breach the dam and put in a box culvert so people can get other access to the other side of the road, meet our obligation for a right of way. And as the private property owner of that property, they have the right to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then, my next question would be accountability. So you've been there recently, so the 36-inch white pine that's growing on 5 feet away from the backside of the dam, in all the inspections, it says to clear the vegetation. I know the state line is 50 feet past the dam, right? So then the state has the obligation in the spillway to clear their vegetation, but the 50 feet inward towards the backside of the dam is not maintained. So at what point? So that's just neglect.
I'm not sure where you're getting the 50 feet needs to be maintained.
Because that's the.
25 feet from the
Because
toe.
the state land, it's the state land behind it. That's what all the records state.
Right. The reason you're clearing the toe of the dam is so you can inspect the dam. It's not necessarily a hard and fast regulation that it needs to be removed. If you can inspect the dam with the vegetation there, then that's another consideration. The engineer might have made that recommendation. I'm not sure that is a recommendation that is required. Plus, if it's on private property or another owner's property, that the dam owner is not required to do that.
Thank you, Chuck.
Okay.
Mike, Christina, what exactly do you mean by breaching the dam?
That's a good question. Let me be clear on that. What that means is remove the dam so it no longer impounds water to what we would consider to be the 100-year storm event.
Keep the bridge?
Well-
Basically make a bridge?
I'm not sure how that would be worked out. Most dams don't have, though the crest of the dam doesn't serve as a road. In this case, it does, so that's a complicating factor.
Do they own the road?
I believe they do.
So they own frontage on the pond?
That would be my understanding. Yeah.
And so what's the difference between that and someone down the road getting a big excavator and digging a huge trench and draining the pond?
I'm not sure I understand the context of the question, sorry.
Well, why do they have the right to drain the pond just because they own the dam? No other property owner on the pond has the right to drain the pond?
Yeah, that's a good question. As a dam owner, they actually also own the flow rights to the water. So they have that, so they have not only the ownership of the dam, they own the flow rights of the pond. That's why that dam was created, so that the mill downstream could manipulate the water. Right.
Yeah.
But just that
Yeah.
you own a dam doesn't mean you're required, the state of Connecticut doesn't have the authority to make them keep that dam. They're a private property owner.
They created a huge wetlands with a lot of life. And now that they don't need it anymore, they get to just destroy it.
As Brian said, if they were to go in that direction, there's a lot of environmental review between here and there.
Who could step in and maintain that dam if they don't want to?
I guess if anybody wanted to buy the dam from them, they'd be willing to give it.
We've already went through this. We're not buying it.
Well, but I pay thousands and thousands of dollars every year to the town for taxes. So I think if nobody else is gonna maintain this dam, that's your responsibility. It's the town's
private property.
responsibility.
You bought something on private property. Your attorney didn't apprise you of what you bought.
I'm not sure what you mean.
It's a private, like what he's saying. They're working on, they're trying to work on your behalf.
Yeah, I understand. I understand.
There's a regulatory with, if the state legislators said, we don't want DEP anymore, they wouldn't be here. Then everything could happen.
How much would it cost every year to maintain these dams if the town did it?
Well, we went through this 10 years ago and it's cost,
$1,000 according to Wish.
$20,000
That's what they said 10 years ago.
a year
A year.
to maintain?
Plus insurance.
How much is gas money? But their maintenance.
I pay more than that in taxes in a year to the town.
that's, this project is in
Thank
its
you.
infancy. We gotta give these guys a chance to get to Wish, to work out a deal, and hopefully we can keep the dam as it is. But there's a lot of factors involved, as he said. It's not a clear-cut decision.
Hi, I'm Jane Grisenda. I live on North Road. I have a couple questions. You said that they have time to come up with a plan to make this all work. How long do they have to come up with a plan?
So the notice of violation requires them to come up with a plan in 60 days.
And how long would it take this water body to be down to just wetlands?
60 days.
I mean, I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Well,
but
I
just-
understand. What I've been told is it's been draining about 4 inches a day. Does that sound right to the people who look at it every day?
Probably down about 5 feet.
Right, so.
So it could be a
And it-
moot
and this-
point,
And I
but
will just say, so people know, that this pond or this lake has a small drainage basin, and it's gonna take a while for it to fill back up too.
okay. And so you said there's easement rights over Dam Road for the properties. That's their only access?
It's my understanding.
Yeah, so to breach the dam, really, they'd have, the property owners on the other side would have a right to go to court and maybe get an injunction to stop them from breaching the dam, I would think, because, they're not gonna have any access while they're doing construction to breach the dam, correct? And
I'm not an
emergency-
attorney, so I'm not gonna respond to that, but
Yeah.
that sounds like a logical scenario to me.
Yeah, okay, I am an attorney, but don't hate me, please. So, the other thing is, I don't know, I mean, I'm also from Rhode Island, so don't hate me for that either. But in Rhode Island, we have a situation at Johnson's Pond in Coventry. Have you heard about that at all? We've had a couple of them where because it was a mill pond as well, we had the great fortune of being town solicitor when this was all going on. But that water in that dam is an asset that went with the mill owners, and in Rhode Island, Johnson's Pond, it was sold to a private corporation, which in turn tried to extort from all the property owners around the pond, like a fee to keep them to keep the pond up. In this case, isn't the underlying land owned by the town of Killingly or the state of Connecticut? What is the fee simple interest of that pond? Do you know?
I don't believe it's the state of Connecticut, but that would be a title search to
So
get the answer to that question.
Wouldn't it be part of the Shippey preservation, I think, the reserve area? I would think it would be.
I don't know that. It would be a title
I
search.
know. I didn't know if you knew or not. So, So anyway, I would think that the town would have some rights in this as well, because it's affecting their property by them doing this. Anyway, these are just thoughts. Have you, in your experience, seen any other towns where they've been confronted with this problem and come up with a solution in Connecticut?
That's a good question. I'm thinking if I can find an example. I know towns that own dams, and, you know, we in the state of Connecticut, we own about 378 dams as of yesterday. So, I mean, I know that, you know, governments own dams.
Right. But why don't you want this one?
I'm not really in the position to say whether we want it or not. I'm in the
Okay.
dam safety program. What I'm concerned about is the safety of the dam and making sure that we're working with the town and the owners to make sure that it's in compliance.
Who do we contact to get, who in deep, like?
We have a land acquisition and management group, so
Who is in that?
I guess Lindsay Sewer is who I deal with. I think she's a supervisor or something. So we could give you information as to contact someone in our department who
Okay.
they purchase properties and such. I don't know, they, you know, they would do an analysis and see if, because we do have property, I think we have like 162 acres around the lake, so we have you know, we do have an interest in keeping
Right.
the lake because we clearly have property around it, so, you know, I think a good outcome is keeping the pond, but, I'm not sure that we would be in a position to purchase the dam.
Oh, you just bought a big parcel on Bailey Hill Road.
How much was that, 4.5 million?
Yeah. And this abuts that parcel. I mean,
Yeah.
I know this isn't your job.
Yeah,
and I
yeah, no,
appreciate
I'll
you.
I'll connect you to, you know, and then,
Yeah.
you know, they do whatever they do, their own analysis and whatever, but clearly we can connect you with our land acquisition and management people.
Okay, I appreciate that. All right, thank you. Thanks for coming out tonight.
Just a quick question. I live at 98 Dam Road, which is directly on the border. I am actually living in Rhode Island. Is the state of Rhode Island responsible for any of this? Would they be a help at all?
Well, if you live in Rhode Island, I guess you can ask the Rhode Island State, our counterparts. We're actually been in communication with them too. We work with them regularly, Stacy Pinto, and I think we're going to be communicating with them tomorrow, just debriefing them on this meeting. So they're aware. And emergency management in Rhode Island, I understand, has been notified by our Division of Emergency Management, Homeland Security. So I think they're engaged, so far as we know. That I don't know. So they're upstream from the dam, so I don't think
They have
people that
residences
would be
that
stranded, yeah.
respond.
That's a good point, yeah.
The other thing that's interesting is that the Dayville Fire Department gets all their water for their fire trucks on the dam. From the lake.
One of many.
Hello, gentlemen. My name is Jeff Page. It's just great to see everybody here. I do not live on the lake, but I've enjoyed this lake. I enjoy nature. And my heart is with trying to preserve and protect. I'm an arborist, and I do my best to try to do that with trees, vegetation, and this and that. First of all, I want to just thank both of you guys, Brian and Chuck. They did not have to come out here. They definitely took their time to come out here. I think they need a round of applause right here. These guys, they did because they care and they know what we're going through, okay? So most people would have just shunned us. So right there, we do have, right here, we got to look at these guys as, hey, these guys still, they're having our backs, okay? I know we don't all agree on what's going on, but, you know, united we stand. And we're going to take this and we're going to just keep going with it. And we're going to let people know. And, you know, the squeaky wheel gets oil. So, you know, we all have a job out here to do, and that's to let people know what OKP means to us and means to the town. Okay, secondly, right now they have a 60-day, if I listen correctly, where they're taking this time to come up with a plan. My question is, Right now, that dam, that water is really just flowing out at an extreme level, and it's lowering, and as it lowers, I realize that the dam is safer and safer each day from a potential disaster of a breaking. Could we get somebody to look at that dam and say, okay, right now I think it's at a safe point, meaning while they have that 60 days to come up with things, possibly we could slow the water down, you know, just so we do have some water, just so it's not like, okay, in 60 days, well, maybe we could have saved a little bit of water. We want to try to save as much water as possible, but at the same time make it safe. And that's my only question, you know, and I realize you guys are helping us. If maybe you could put us to somebody who could analyze this dam, a second party, maybe we could come up with some money to bring in somebody to say, okay, with this much water, this many millions of gallons, hundreds of thousands of gallons, whatever, I think that this dam is safe. I don't know. This is just a question.
Jeff, our first requirement for WISH is to do a hydraulic analysis of the dam, of the water and the low-level outlet. So a lot of the answers to the questions you were just talking about will be answered in that study. That's within 30 days. They need to get that to us.
Now, is there any way we can slow the level of water leaving, you know?
To my knowledge, it's either open or shut. I don't really know that dam, whether they can throttle it back, but it's still, and we would need to look at it and make sure it's low enough and not get into the dam. We have to worry also too, if we lower it and it's not near the dam, but we get a big storm and it builds back up and it comes up to the dam, that's a concern. So that's why we're doing this H&H analysis.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to save as much, see if we can come up with, until we have that analysis done.
So,
Like
and if I were you made a question come up, do an analysis, what I would do if I were in your situation, I might want to have my own engineer look at that report. Because WISH is going to be required to do it, you can have another engineer look at it and do their own assessment. But I wouldn't have them do the first, I would let WISH do theirs first and critique it. If you're, I mean, it's public information. If somebody wants to take it and critique it, they can do that.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Just want to follow up on something. Oh, I'm sorry. Just quickly. Well, first of all, I do appreciate Deep's, I know you're not in the acquisition. I appreciate their purchase of the Tri-Lakes. It kind of feels like if we let this go and go for Tri-Lakes, you guys kind of maybe did. This is kind of a jewel, I think, compared to what it offers to the community versus Tri-Lakes. I think I'm really happy that Deep acquired that, but I think if this would be a nice feather on top, and so I think this would be. Really nice for the state of Connecticut if that gets passed along to anybody. And as far as the town goes, I understand. I understand Mr. Grindelski with the process here, and I appreciate him kind of saying let's look at this process here. I do think our town crew is pretty competent from what I've seen over the years, and I think. I don't know what specifically the liability is. I think we should just not be terrified by the word liability, because our town has a lot of liability already. And so I think it's something, this is my personal opinion, I think town should look at it, look at the numbers, and look at the demonstrated competence of our road crew if it comes to that. I think it would be better for the state, because I think this is kind of a natural fit there, but I think somebody should do it. But not to get into that, I did have an actual question here. So just in terms of you said if the dam, I just want to be clear on this for my own purpose, if the dam is maintained within the regulations, or has been maintained within the regulations, what does maintained within the regulations mean? At least for this particular, I know that's a big question, but.
It is a big question. There's a lot of aspects to
For
it.
this particular dam, not any dam, but for maybe this, what is it, Class B dam?
Yeah, well, the concern right now, as we've talked about before, is that there's considerable seepage from the bottom of the dam, and now it's carrying sediment, so that should be addressed.
No, I'm not taking issue with I'm not taking an issue necessarily. I mean, it seems like there's some complicating stuff there, but with the specific determination with this particular drawdown at this time. But talking about I do think it makes sense to ask retroactively, because if there's an issue that has emerged, that is, they were supposed to be maintaining this within the regulations, so I just want to have a sense of what that means for this dam. I was kind of surprised to hear that.
I can answer some of
Yeah,
that,
okay.
what that means within the regulation. What I think they have been. They have been monitoring a dam that they knew was in, originally, I think it was in, was it fair condition? It wasn't, you know, good condition. It was in fair condition, which dams are rated by by their condition assessment. And that required them to do regular monitoring, which they were doing. And when they saw concerns, they brought it to our attention. And when they saw additional concerns, they brought that to our attention and took actions. And they've already had, I believe, 2 professional engineers on call ready to work with it. So I would say that they're been in compliance. And what they're trying to do now is make decisions of how they're going to make that dam safe. And this is all relatively new. It started in September and it got worse in October.
So is there some, I don't know, maybe others have had access to this, is there some sort of record in terms of what their history of what they've presented to you in terms of monitoring?
We have all that information.
Is that public? That's all
our
public record?
information is public, yeah.
Okay. And you said that large vegetation and trees.
See, I
Is not
understand that tree is
necessarily-
not on their property.
So neither, what,
Yeah, when I saw the dam in October 27th, comparing it to other pictures I saw in the file, I thought it was pretty clear of vegetation.
well, what if during the course of their ownership, there was an issue there that was potentially causing demonstrable thing that was?
You mean vegetation compromising the dam?
Yes.
Well, I mean, they were told and they have responded to removing the vegetation as far as I could tell.
Okay, but they've been responsible for that. Are they responsible for that just, I mean, is that part of their responsibility in terms of
Yeah,
being-
removing vegetation is part of a dam owner's
And
responsibility.
how about the condition, maintaining the condition of this stonework? Would that be,
Well, that's what they had been monitoring, and they were under an understanding that they needed to monitor the stonework and monitor the bulge, monitor the seepage, and they've been doing that. That's how they've been in compliance, is doing that monitoring.
so they don't, how, I mean, I'm just wondering, like, how are we just, is compliance only about monitoring, or is there ever, hey, we need to get this fixed? Like, because if we have an issue, I understand if we just, right now, the sediment appeared, and, okay, there's this potential avenues of repair or breach. But at some point, if there's, a potential issue that's going unresolved, and that's, because the whole issue here is that this is potentially a safety concern for people down. And so then it
Not
seems
only
that
safe
it's so,
for people downstream, but people that use that dam to get to their properties.
yeah, so it seems to me that, ongoing sort of, maintaining of the condition of the dam would have been an important thing for a well-capitalized dam owner, to be doing.
I don't know one way or another whether they're well capitalized. or
Well,
not.
I mean,
just don't know
compared
that.
with many dam owners, I would say that they probably are.
I don't know.
They have good lawyers, so I would say that that puts them in a different category than a lot of private residents that maybe have. Well, I don't mean to dig into that. All I'm saying is that I think we need to, as the gentleman here was saying earlier, I do think it's, we can't only look at this, and again, this is not me saying do this, don't do that. They're an accusation, but I think there was some sense of, I would imagine there's some obligation for maintaining the safe condition of that dam over time. And if the current issue is a result of failing to do that, I think there needs to be some accounting for that. Thank you. Sorry to dig back into that stuff.
I was just following up on what he just spoke about, Al Dufresne, in regards to the large tree growth behind the dam. Wish actually has a right-of-way from Pond Road that goes in the back, and it's accessed from the back quite a few feet down the road, and it does own the land behind that dam. And there are large trees growing, and I have it on the town maps here. I don't know what their maps look like, but it's actually on the Killingly map, land records map, I could show you.
You know, no, I would say just thank you for bringing that to my
Okay,
attention.
sure.
We'll look into that a
Absolutely.
little bit more closely, and I appreciate that information. Okay, we'll too look in the land records just to verify.
Hi, I'm Susan Larrow. I live on 156 Pond Road. We've been there for over 30 years. The pond did drain once before completely. Someone repaired the wall and it filled right back up. So, I mean, that can happen and it'll happen again. But if it doesn't, does the town of Killingly realize they're gonna be hurting because our taxes should go way down because our property value is gonna go way, way down, and therefore we'll be paying a lot less taxes? Does the town know that? And maybe if they did, they might help us a little bit more.
Hello, Nick Tavernier from 80 Dam Road. I am one of the residents that live on the other side of the dam. I am a resident that travels over this dam at least 6 times a day. I moved there in 2015, and you talk about maintenance on the dam, correct? It's their dam, they're supposed to maintain it. Who's supposed to snowplow this dam? Not just asking you, but like if they own this dam, who plows the dam? Who does it? And if no one plows this dam and our house catches on fire, who's reliable for that? Who's at stakes? And how much did you say they spend a year on maintenance?
I didn't say.
I thought so. I thought I heard $20,000 from some.
I said that, and that's from Ira from Moish, and that was back in 2014.
2014. So I drive over the dam 6 days. I have my other family members down there drive over it multiple times. And I can tell you what I see once a year is a couple guys mowing the lawn. I don't see anything else. And on the other side of the dam is probably at least, if I could count off head, 32 stones that came out of the dam that never got taken to consideration on maybe putting some back in there. And then also a note is, as one of their workers was on the dam not too long ago, a couple of us noticed at least 6 fresh stones on the bottom of the dam from where an excavator was that moved 2 stones to drop sandbags in there. Now there's randomly 6 stones down there. Brand new stones. I mean, they're not old. They don't have moss on them. There's black dirt in the ground. I'm just curious on how those got there. And my other thing is, then we talk about wildlife. Who's going to be at fault when there's dead eagles, bald eagles? And who's going to be at fault when the fish are going to be flopping within 60 days because I'm watching the water go down 5 feet per day? So our cove will eventually get stopped. It's going to diminish, obviously, right? Because we haven't got rain. Now there's going to be dead fish. Who's responsible for that? Who's like, that's okay for the town to have dead fish and our bald eagle? And I don't remember who named the island after a fallen victim, fallen soldier of war that is not with us anymore. And we wanted to dedicate this island to somebody that passed away and went to war when a lot of us hasn't. So now we're going to have a stranded island at Old Killingly Pond State Park where the town offers people to go kayaking, fishing with your children. And now I have a daughter that is asking me where the water is. And my parents brought me there. Their parents brought them there. And I think everyone can vouch that this place has been a staple for over 200 years. And us as taxpayers are going to watch it diminish and all the wildlife get killed. But if that's okay with you folks, and someone said $4.5 million on Bailey Hill for what? For what? It's a piece of land. We got a damn pond that's been here forever, and people are just going to sit there and let it go.
Good evening, Greg Merchant. I'm a
third-generation seasonal resident at 60 Dam Road. Did I hear there, well, first of all, is anyone from Wish here? I read that they would attend. Oh, okay. So if they're online, can they make a comment or? And same thing, is there anyone from the town that's here in the room? No, I'm sorry, a town official. Okay, so,
Excuse me, let me interrupt you. What's your name, sir?
Greg Merchant.
Craig, my name is Harold Kahn. I'm a principal accounting officer, acting consultant.
Yeah, so, okay, so the reason I asked is I'd like to hear, what comments do you have about Wish's intentions going forward? And then I'd also like to hear what the town thinks, and I'm wondering why they don't have people in the room. I mean, we elected you, and this is a major event for this town, and I can't believe we got the state here, but we don't have town officials in the room here. But Wish, go ahead, could you tell us what you think your company's intentions are going forward? And that's one. And for the town official, before you answer, I'll do two questions and I'll let you go. That's one of them. The other is for the town of Killingley. I want to know, has Wish paid their taxes?
I can tell you, Wish has paid every bit of taxes that we've ever been responsible for, and you can vet that with the town. I need to run in 15 minutes, so let me respond quickly. I can't comment on the future state because, as Chuck said, we just received the notification today, and so we need to evaluate what the situation is, and we will in fact come back to DEEP as required. What I can tell you is, and I think there has been some commentary made on this, but we have been, in my view, a very responsible party to the ownership of the dam properties in the Killingley area for many years. These are legacy assets that they have been within. There are several predecessor companies to Wish that have owned these properties over the years. Wish today is a shell company. Somebody referred to that. We were an operating company until 8 years ago, and we sold the operating business. So today we are a very small, with very, very minimal assets
last 3 days, 4 days. We have not responded on anything. No one has posted anything on that. We're more than willing to turn that over to a common person or a chosen person of the community, so to speak. I don't want to start saying election or anything like that, but we would be happy to have someone use that as a platform, communication for Wish. We know that Wish is more than happy to divest this. We just need people to accept it. We can't have this beautiful area without allowing other people to have it and front the money. Otherwise, we need to front the money, and I know I can't afford it, and that's just for my pond. It's sad enough seeing that we already have I know I heard it in plenty of our meetings 10 years ago about the fence. The fence up there that wasn't built by Wish. That was built by individual town, all right? So instead of enforcing and regulating the bad apples, seeds, behavior, we just try to block it off to everybody. There's people that still think that this is not a public area. Yeah, you go to the website and it's publicized. It's great for boating, great for kayaking. I know you deal with a lot of shenanigans up there. I know we deal with a lot of shenanigans. Troop D, they deal with me calling quite a bit, all right? I know there's other neighbors that are gonna be calling, but those are the things that we get to deal with when we get to use this asset that Wish is allowing us to. First thing they did 10 years ago, put posted signs up. Anybody who went on that was trespassing. Do we want that again? That's all I have. Oh, I have one other thing. Before they breach, they have to go through many steps. We have to do a environmental study, correct? And we involve the federal government. Army Corps of Engineers need to do an evaluation, and they need to review the plan, correct?
Correct.
All right, and probability of them allowing this quickly is negligible based on the risk is diminished as water level is lowered.
Correct.
All right.
There was going to be, there would be different permits at different levels. So there'd be the state dam safety permit, and then the Army Corps acts under the Clean Water Act, and they have certain general permit programs or nationwides that would cover it. So yes, so we'd need approval from DEEP and Army Corps of Engineers.
All right. I appreciate you taking time out of your evenings. Not to mention, I know I don't believe you're local. I believe you're out of Hartford, or at least you work out of Hartford, correct? Right. So I appreciate you making the drive out. And we had representatives with us in the previous efforts of Wish divesting this to the town or the state. I'd like to see more. I wish this was before the election versus a day after, or 2 days after. So you can read into that as much as you'd like. But I ask to the community, you're part of this too. Don't push back. If you push back, you're not going to like the results. So thank you.
Hello, folks. Sorry about that. Dave Capaccioni, Town Engineering Department. I'd like to thank everybody for their attendance. Clearly, this is a very passionate topic. I would just like to reiterate that the path that WISH and DEP has authorized is prudent and reasonable to try to determine the best course forward. And everybody has been very informative in notifying us upon the situation. And that's all I have.
Are you being informed with all the information?
Yes.
All right, so we're gonna get it out in a timely manner so the public can get it?
I
And
have
how,
been-
and how are we suggesting to do that?
We were going to have a single point of contact, I believe. Right, Chuck? To notify everybody? Is it-
And you're gonna be that point?
a source from the citizens. Can relay information as I receive it to a point of contact, but I need to know who that point of contact is going to be.
If this was a town meeting, I'd make a motion to see if there's a volunteer in this room that would like to be that person.
Again, if there is a volunteer, that is fine.
I have too much to commit to right now, I'm sorry.
Right, and it should go to the town manager.
If that is okay with Brian, that is okay with me.
Thank you.
How's that? All right. So what we can do, working with Chuck, is I'm the town manager, Brian Palaya. Sorry. Anyway, I gotta hold it just right, not to squeak. What we can do is create a subsection on our homepage to funnel information from DEEP that they can provide us. We can do some FAQ there, and to the extent that they can give us updates, we'll get that out through our Facebook page and our homepage. And also, I wanted to go back. I don't know if Ehrlich is still on the call. Okay, but all right, I'll leave it at that then. Is the Wish owner still on? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you all.
So could you just address the request from the resident about providing some notice to what your future plans might be to DEEP?
I'm sorry?
So we lost your sound at the end of your presentation, and there was a follow-up question from one of the residents. Just to the effect that, can you provide us as a community some notice of what your plans might be once you complete the study, the hydraulic?
That will all go through DEEP. It's best that DEEP be the central point of communication for anything relating to the regulatory order that's been issued, the EA. And so I will coordinate closely with DEEP in that, but I would be expecting that DEEP would be that point of communication.
Thank you.
Just thank you. We're available. If you have questions, as we said, we'll try to make information available as quickly as we can. I also, just while we're talking, I want to thank Akila Mirza and Anna Laskin, who's been helping me during this meeting by giving me information online on my phone. So thank you, everybody.
I want to thank everybody for coming. We need the information. It's not a fast response. We got DEP here. Dave helped arrange that and made this happen. So there is some communication out there, but to get an answer immediately, we got to give systems some time to work. So, I mean, you looked at some of it, they're starting to draw down. It sucks, but we gotta have some pain to get it fixed right. So it's the right time of year, because it's not during the swimming season, so we should be lucky for that. So thanks, everybody, for coming out, and from what town manager said, there'll be information available.